It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Hello there. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Our Way Mandalorian Review. Now, remember, this is going to be a spoiler-heavy review of this week's episode of The Mandalorian as we continue on into Season 2. But I am not alone on this journey. As they're revealed in this episode, there are more than just one Mandalorians running around. So that would be Gregory Lee is with us this week. Greg, how you doing?
Hello. Hi. I'm doing good. Can't wait to let others know of I've already told you a little bit of my feelings of this episode. I can't wait to let others know about my feelings for this episode.
Yeah, I'm sure that Our Way Mandalorian Review for this week is going to be filled with even more surprises as we continue on in this journey of The Mandalorian Season 2. Now, real quick, before we dive into our thoughts, once again, this is going to be spoiler heavy, so if you've not seen this week's episode, go on to Disney+, watch the episode, put this video in your watch later list, and then come back and watch it a little bit later on. But if you have watched it, thank you for joining us. If you have any thoughts or questions about this week's episode, drop it in the comments section. We would love to hear about it. So, quick recap, because I know there's a lot of things that went down in this episode, and I may not have all the details up front, but I will say this.
Were there a lot of things that happened in this episode?
Well, there's a lot of details and a lot of pieces of the story that are trying to fit into place, and I can't remember all of them offhand. But I will say this. Mandalorian and his team, aka the child and the frog lady with her frog eggs, they do get to the place known as Trask. She is reunited with her husband. She gets her eggs into the proper place. Mandalorian and the child, they go into an inn. They find out that there's this creature there that says, hey, I know where more Mandalorians are. And eventually, he goes on a ship to sail off to the place where allegedly more Mandalorians are going to be found. And, well, guess what happens? These creatures turn on the Mandalorian. They try to kill him. They try to kill the child. But at the last split second, he and the child are rescued by a mystery team. Get this, not one, not two, but three. Three Mandalorians show up in blue and white armor, and they save Mandalorian. They save the child, and they say, hey, we're here to help you, but we need you to help us do one thing first. We will show you or tell you where you're supposed to take the child and where you could potentially reunite him with someone. But in order to do that, you have to help us take over this cargo ship that is being piloted by former or still remaining members of whatever is left of the Empire. We got to take over the ship. We got to get these weapons because the leader of this blue and white group of Mandalorians is played by Katie Sackhoff. Her character is Bo-Katan, who was made famous in the Clone Wars and a few other pieces of Star Wars mythology. And so what happens is she finds out that she is looking for the Darksaber. She wants to retake the throne on Mandalore. In order to do that, she needs the Darksaber. Well, we know who has the Darksaber. Moff Gideon has it. So,
my man.
Giancarlo Esposito
Love
makes a quick
that guy.
cameo digitally, I should say, in this particular part of the episode. So Mandalorian says, hey, you're changing the deal. Things are being altered. I'm not happy with that. But at the end of the day, he goes back to get the child from the two frog people who have been watching over him during this adventure that he's been on the last few moments. And they take off, and they have to find someone, a Jedi Knight by the name of Ahsoka Tano, that is going to help the Mandalorian reunite the child with his own kind. Boy, talk about Easter eggs, talk about action, set pieces galore. Real quick, my thoughts on this episode, way better than last week. Fantastic storytelling, fantastic mythology, throwing in Easter eggs such as Bo-Katan, other clans of Mandalore, other pieces of the puzzle when it comes to Mandalorians, throwing in the Ahsoka Tano Easter egg and where the child's going to be potentially reunited with, the mention of the Darksaber, the appearance of Moff Gideon, who reappeared from Season 1. Oh, the action sequences when the Mandalorians are trying to take over this ship and they're shooting at all these stormtroopers who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Oh my goodness, this episode was full of surprises, full of awesomeness, full of action-packed excitement. And I cannot wait to see and by the way, the casting, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we see the mystery woman in a cloak and dagger kind of outfit, and that was Sasha Banks, WWE superstar. And she apparently is revealed to be one of the three Mandalorians of this team being led by Bo-Katan, a.k.a. Katie Sackhoff. She had what, like maybe one line of dialogue in this whole episode? So I'm wondering if Sasha Banks is going to make another appearance. Maybe that was just her one-time deal. I don't know what's going to happen, but other than that, I really like this episode. I thought it was badass. Pardon my French. And I see some people chiming in the chat. Thank you for your thoughts. We will share those on screen a little bit later on. So I can't wait to see where this is going to go, especially with all the Easter eggs and pieces of Mandalorian mythology, and talking about how there are different clans, and that how the Mandalorian's part of his particular clan are religious zealots who are obsessed with keeping their helmets on. They don't want to reveal their
Just like
identities. They don't want
Jedi.
to reveal too much. They're very secretive. All that kind of stuff. I love learning more about the Mandalorian mythology. So, Greg, what are your thoughts on this week's episode?
I will say I did really like learning about the different factions of the Mandalorian. I was happy to see that there were more Mandalorians, I guess Mandalorians out there.
More
But
clans, yeah.
yeah, and like also just the reintroduction of Bo-Katan, like she was like so cool. Like in the Clone Wars, I'm glad that they like brought her to I guess live action. But as far as the episode itself, I mean, it was okay. Like it was all right. Like again, like it's kind of like the first season, except like like these last two episodes were just filler. Like nothing exactly happened. Like sure, you get like all this big action set pieces and like the little bit of like Easter eggs and lore like sprinkled in, but like not a lot was accomplished. Like not a lot was accomplished. Like sure, he met like this other clan, but like all they did was say, oh you need the Jedi, go somewhere else, but thanks for your help. Like it was kind of just like it's kind of like he's sent on a fetch quest, but like like every time he hits like the next part of the next like what is supposed to be like the end of the quest, like they're just like, oh no, go over there, like we don't actually have what you're looking for, you have to go over there, but for that information you have to help us, which was just like, all right, like okay. But I mean, like it's again, like I liked it just because I mean I like most of it just because like I got to see more lore, which is what I love about the Star Wars universe, like seeing more than just the Jedi, and like just the mention of Ahsoka Tano. I can't speak anymore, so I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break after this, but like just the mention of her like essentially going to be in the next episode is like, well, hopefully be in the next episode. He might get lost in space again, who knows, but just the mention of her is just like exciting. Like it's just like they give you like the directors just give you just enough to be like, okay, fine, I'll come back next week, but I'm not happy with you, but I'll come back next week.
I see. Well, you know, not funny thing, but the fun fact about this episode, it was directed by Ron Howard's own daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard, directed this week's episode. And she did, I believe she did a fantastic job. And also, we get to see Emerald Akbar's species come into play, and they fixed the Razor Crest. But the funny thing about that, the Mandalorian says at the end of the episode, hey, I paid you $1,000, like 1,000 credits, and this is the best you can do.
I love it. They tricked
like
it out.
fish.
It's cool.
Yeah, there's like fish, there's like nets and like cobwebs still hanging around, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, $1,000. I would have expected a heck of a lot better repairs than this.
Nah,
but
that's cool. That was they essentially like pimped his ride, and I love it.
A little bit.
I love it.
Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But yeah, no, yeah, this. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was one of the funnier parts of the episode. Yeah, I paid you $1,000. This is what I get for it. Come on, you patched it up. Like, you didn't do that good of a job.
There were like some parts of like this episode where I found myself just like laughing because like the way that they mixed like the comedy and the action was just like great. Mm-hmm. Like I really liked how they mixed like comedy and action in this episode, and also like the more that they show the child, the less I want of the child at this point, because
and the
like
child was off to the side this time. He was being babysat by the two frog people, and the Mandalorian was like, "Hey, don't eat anything. Don't do anything stupid. Mind your manners."
don't end the species. But no,
Yeah.
it's just like the child was like semi capable last season, and then they're just like, okay, like that was too like he moves stuff with his mind. That was too much. Like we can't we can only have him in here for like merchandising purposes now. Like it's too much for him to like actually help or do anything now. It's like, no, come on, man. Like that's the best part. Like you can keep like introducing like new force powers through this small child, but like they're just like not taking the opportunity. I'm just like, come on, guys, like you can do this. I believe in you.
So in this particular case, you wanted to see more of the child this week rather than less.
No, I just want the child to like be capable again. I like I want them to like make the child like more capable, that because like they're basically regressing his character. Like his character is taking more of a back seat, whereas like he was the main focus and like continues to be like the main focus, like the main plot point that's like driving this story. But like the further it goes, like the more they're just like, okay, like child, yes, okay, get him out of here. Like let's do some Mandalorian stuff.
No, I gotcha. I can see that. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the child taking a back seat. Doesn't bother me because I just want to see where the story goes in general, not so much with the child. I mean, the child eventually, I think the end, honestly, I think the end of the series, whenever the executives decide when the Mandalorian is going to fully end, that last episode is going to be about the child being reunited with his own kind. Because honestly, they're going to drag this thing out for as long as they can. But with the Mandalorian character, we're going to see more of his progression and see where he is going to go and see where his story is going to fit into the overall Star Wars universe. Because I'm very curious to see where it goes. Whether it's about the armor or more clans of Mandalore or the planet of Mandalore, where other things within the Star Wars galaxy are going to turn. You got the remnants of the Empire still flying around. You got people who are flying the ships. You got stormtroopers galore everywhere. You got people who are willing to sacrifice themselves just to make sure that the Empire is potentially going to rise again, which hopefully this series will lead into the creation of the First Order.
See, that's also a thing. Like when he was talking to
Moff Gideon.
Like when they were talking, like I really thought he was going to say something about the First Order. Like I really thought that's when they were going to bring in the First Order, but they didn't, and I was just like, "This is okay. That's weird." Because I'm kind of getting into the weeds a little bit, but like in one of the Star Wars books, I literally just blanked on the name, but like it was said like as soon as the Empire fell, that's when like all the orders started taking place, like Order 66 and like the First Order, like all those like start taking place like as soon as the Empire falls. And like there's supposed to be like a bunch of contingency plans that like the Emperor had for when the Empire fell, because he knew it was going to fall. So I was thinking like, okay, like let's see more of those different orders. Like don't just keep them in the books, like put them on screen because they're cool.
No, for sure. And by the way, I am not overly familiar with everything that has occurred in the Clone Wars animated series or some of the other pieces of the mythology within the book. So if anyone has any books or comic run suggestions, leave them in the chat, because I do want to read some of this stuff eventually and get into some more of the mythology and other pieces of the story within the Star Wars galaxy, if you will. So let us know in the chat. We'd love to hear about it. But I can see. By the way, the whole Rise of the First Order, Greg, this series takes place 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. So I don't think we're going to see the rise of the First Order for a long time, because I don't think the First Order started. Because let's not forget, I wouldn't mind seeing the birth of the First. I want to see that stuff, but I'm telling you, the Force Awakens
Aftermath,
took place.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was thinking, isn't it called Aftermath? Star Wars
Yes, it's Aftermath.
But anyway, okay, well, that's something I got to read somewhere down the line. But I will say this, though. The First Order, or should I say the Force Awakens, takes place 30 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. So I don't think the First Order is going to start, coming into play until like 15, 20 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. In this series, The Mandalorian takes place 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi.
But
So
you gotta start somewhere, man. You
you
gotta
do have to start
somewhere.
somewhere. I don't know if we're going to see it in this season. I don't even know if we're going to see it next season, to be perfectly honest. But then again,
Gotta hope.
I don't sit in the executives' offices, so I don't know what their plan is. All we know is
Yeah.
that the people who run this show, guys like Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, all those guys who work, the men and women who work countless hours behind the scenes to put this series together, they know it better than we do. So I wish them nothing but the best. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes next. But I will say it was great to see Katie Sackhoff again. I haven't seen her in a while since the Longmire TV series was on Netflix. Sasha Banks, though, we see her in the cloak in the very beginning of this week's episode, and then she shows up as one of the 3 Mandalorians, and she has like maybe one line of dialogue throughout the entire episode. The rest of the time, she's just looking, bad. She has that, angry, badass look on her face, and she has her helmet on, blasting stormtroopers at every turn, and that's fine. But I'm thinking, boy, Sasha, I thought you were going to have a much bigger role to play, and you may have even had more dialogue. You had one line, I think, and that's it.
I really hope they bring these 3 back, because like they were so interesting, and like the only thing that you like found out about them is that like they weren't a part of the religious zealot faction of the Mandalorians, and like that they were like, yeah, it's not a big deal to take off your helmet, like we're still Mandalorians, but like like we just take off our helmets, like that's it, like that's the only difference between us, which is just like and like also like they were like very capable fighters, and it's just very interesting to like see more Mandalorians fight. But like I think they just wanted to give like some sort of fan service for this episode and then just like move on. But like hopefully they bring these characters back, because they seemed interesting. Like Bo-Katan, like we already know her from like the Clone Wars, so like we already know who she is. But like these other 2 people, like, and like the dude, like he was just there. He was just there to make it like a cool like triple threat like team.
Triple threat, yeah.
But like who was
3
he?
Musketeers.
Like who was that guy?
I don't even remember the character's name, and I don't remember Sasha Banks' character name either for the life of me. If anyone knows, put it in the chat, because I can't remember offhand. All we know is that the 2 names, well, actually, one name over the other was mentioned a lot more. Bo-Katan was mentioned a lot more than Ahsoka Tano Easter egg at the very end.
The dude was Axe Woves, and
then who was Sasha Banks? Do we know?
Ahsoka Reeves.
Ahsoka Reeves. So that's not Ahsoka Tano. All right, Ahsoka Reeves. Well, guess what? You didn't have much dialogue. So if they ever come back, which I'm hoping they do, because Bo-Katan is on that mission. She wants to get that Darksaber from Moff Gideon and take over Mandalore and what do you call it? Ascend to the throne. Anything that's any Mandalorian clans or culture or mythology, I am more than happy to sit down and watch ad nauseum, or for as long as it takes. But anyway, aside from that, my biggest disappointment was Sasha Banks. She was hyped up. She's a WWE superstar, one of the biggest stars in the business today, and she has what? One line of dialogue, shows up wearing a suit, kicking tail and taking names, and that's about it. But then again,
which was cool.
It's cool, but I wanted to see a lot more from her, and there's 5 episodes left in this season. There's 5 episodes left, so there's still plenty of time for those Mandalorians to come back, reunited with Mando himself, and maybe they can help, get her the Darksaber, and she can ascend to the throne of Mandalore. But aside from that,
pick it up then.
Aside from that, so we're going to go over our hopes and potential dreams for next week's episode, and then we're going to end the show with your comments and your questions here, because I'm seeing a lot of things in the chat and I'm loving it. So here's what I hope to see in the next episode for The Mandalorian Season 2. Do hope to see more of where the Mandalorian's I hope the Mandalorian ends up meeting Ahsoka Tano. I hope he figures out a little bit more about where the child is going to end up belonging. Hope to see more Mandalorian story just in general, because Pedro Pascal is awesome. Also, hope to see an appearance from the trio of Mandalorians that we saw with Bo-Katan trying to get her hands on that Darksaber. That would be cool to see a bit more of in the next episode. But either way, whether it's Mandalorian meeting up with Ahsoka Tano or the Mandalorians trying to get the Darksaber away from Moff Gideon, I'll take either one. Other than that, looking forward to seeing where this journey goes within Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Greg, what are your hopes, and what are the things you hope to see in the next episode?
Well, last week I actually called him meeting the woman in the hood from the trailer, so proud of myself on that one. But I really just hope he just meets Ahsoka Tano and like we learn a bit more of like the child and where they're going with the child. And also, I just hope that the story like progresses a bit more quickly, I would say. I need a little bit more to happen. Like if the entire episode is like him just like looking for her and then like he finds her at the end and it's just like, all right, see you next week, I'm going to be a little disappointed. So hopefully it's not a searching episode. It is a search for a little bit, found her, let's get some more lore and like let's get into like some Jedi stuff.
Yeah, I would be more than happy to see that. I can see where you're coming from. You feel like, you know, one clue leads to another clue and you're getting tired of him being led to just more clues. You actually want to see some results.
I'm tired of the clues.
You just want results. Okay.
Yes.
I can see where you're coming from. We're going to go to the chat here as we wrap things up here on Our Way Mandalorian Review. Reels and Heels, which is a show that's hosted by Brian and Nicole. They say that they loved this week's episode. They also continue to say that the music in this episode was so good. Yeah.
They always have great
music. They also
music.
say it was nice to see Harry Bosch in this episode. He was the Imperial officer who was attempting to go down with the ship. That was the captain. So that was him. Dude, the guy executed the two pilots in the cockpit.
Like weirdly enough, like he had like 10 minutes of screen time, and I was just like so captivated by his character. Like he's a great actor. Absolutely great.
Yeah, he's a great actor, and his character it was good to see. That was another thing I didn't expect to see this season. It was good to see the person who plays Bosch on the Amazon series Bosch. I forget the actual actor's name off the top of my head, but he was really good in this. Reels and Heels continues to say that this episode made history. It was the first time that the animated voice was played by the live-action character. Bo-Katan.
That's true. I didn't know that was the first time that happened.
Yes, it was the first time that happens. Man, there's a lot of things going on in the chat. They continue to say that this episode pushed the story forward. It was not filler, Greg. What happened in this episode will pay off. You can bank on it. Oh, that's good stuff.
Yes, but like I understand. I get where you're coming from. Like I completely understand, but like I feel like it was filler just because like it was a lot of setup for something later. Like you can set up like a bunch of like you can set up stuff, but like have something else happen in the episode. Like it still felt like a little bit of filler to me. But I can get where they're coming. I get where you're coming from.
Right. Another one says you can tell that our executive producer and director Jon Favreau loves the Alien franchise in these last two episodes. All the alien creatures and things that have appeared so far. Let's see. I'm not sure which character you're referring to here, Reels and Heels. One character from Battlefront 2 is going to show up later in the season. I wonder who that is. Let's see. Oh, by the way, Josh from Lasting Insight, Josh is here with us. He says, this is the first episode to give me a reason to want to keep watching that isn't Baby Yoda.
That man loves Baby Yoda. Josh. That man loves Baby Yoda. Yeah, I will say, like, like they always give you a reason to come back next episode. They always give you a reason. And like I like that, but like I also like want something like while I am here, like give me like a little bit of something else, like just a little bit of something else.
And I believe I'm not sure if you're referring to Bo-Katan's character or another character that was featured in this week's episode, Reels and Heels. She is a real Mandalorian, not from the Watch, which is like a cult, sort of. Are you referring to Sasha Banks' character? Or are you referring to Bo-Katan?
Bo-Katan, because she.
Okay. I forget. She says which
she
clan
was born.
From.
She was born on Mandalore, but like she did join like a cult. Like
right. It was a different set of circumstances.
Yeah. She was following the dude that had the saber, which was real cool dude. Real cool guy.
Some of the things that Josh hopes to see in the next episode, he says, please, no more filler episodes. I want everyone to be like this week's episode was. Okay?
No, Josh.
That's what Josh
I agreed with you until the end.
Well, here's somebody who is asking, I'm not sure if you know this person. I believe this person has made an appearance in our chat once or a few times already. She says, please give me a shout out. We will do so. Angela, thank you for being with us. Thank you for
Hi,
chiming
Angela.
in with all your thoughts about the Mandalorian and all that stuff. We have given you a shout out. Yes, we can see your comments. We can see everybody's comments within the chat room. So no worries. You're here and you're here amongst friends. So no problem with that.
Welcome to
All
our
right,
way.
yes, welcome to Our Way, Mandalorian Review. That's going to do it for this week's episode of Our Way, Mandalorian Review. Spoiler-heavy reviews of every
Spoiler
episode
heavy.
within the Mandalorian TV series. We are going to be back once again, new episodes every Saturday afternoon at 12 p.m. EST, right here on our Facebook page. Make sure to follow Greg and myself and all the rest of our team members here at Nerd Culture on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at It's Nerd Culture. New videos are dropping on our YouTube channel each and every week, so make sure you check out our YouTube channel there. Also, we're going to be having an interview with Laura Ligori later today, Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about her work on Hollywood Girl, The Peg and Twistle Story, as well as many other movies and projects she has taken part in. So don't miss that. That is going to be here on our Facebook page at 2 p.m. EST. Yes, Greg, do you have something to add?
I do want to say something. I watched like one of her demo reels on IMDb, and like
Yes.
it was supposed to be like a suspense scene, and I was just like, "Ooh, she's creepy." I love it. I loved that scene. It was really good. Like, she's a great actor. Like,
And you're
oh my
referring to
goodness.
Laura, I'm assuming.
Yes, like I watched like one of her reels on IMDb.
One of her demo reels, yeah.
It was amazing. I loved it, and I actually put like Hollywood Girl like on my watch list for Amazon.
Please do. It's
I
actually
was just like,
available.
"Ooh, this is
Right.
wonderful."
Well, not only is it available on Amazon, it's also available on YouTube.
Oh yes, YouTube too.
Yeah.
I'll watch it
worry.
both. I'll watch them both.
Whichever streaming service you want to use, you're more than welcome to do so. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of Our Way, Mandalorian Review. If you have any thoughts, speculations, opinions about this week's episode, leave them in the chat. Leave them in the comment section when this video goes up on our YouTube channel. In the meantime, all of you out there, please stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe, and this is the way.
This is the way.